Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the third grade concept of compare and order numbers. This is standard 3.2D in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 1 of the 2022 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we've got 4 different comparisons. We need to find the one that is true. Now, let me tell you why it's very important to compare these by stacking them on top of each other. Because if you're just looking at this, you're like, oh, 68, yeah, that is bigger than 64. But that is an incorrect comparison. Let me show you why. What we do is we actually stack them up here. We're going to use place value, right? So our very smallest place value that we learn about in the third grade is the ones place. And we got the tens place. And 3 spots over is our hundreds place. What we do is we line these up on top of each other. So look at that 68, right? That's going to be a 6 in the tens and 8 in the ones. But then we have to put the 649. Well, if you look, that 6 is in the hundreds place because there's 3 digits. Then there's the 4, and there's the 9. So it's not really 68 and 64 because when you compare, you always start with the largest place value first, right? So this number's got a 6, and there's nothing here. So if there's a blank, you can always put a 0 if you want to, though it kind of looks weird to put 0.68, but it's still the same number because 0 has no value. So which one is bigger, right? The 0 in the hundreds place or the 6? And obviously we've got our 6 in the hundreds place is going to be bigger right there. So what we would do is if we wanted to write this correctly, we would actually have to flip that, because 68 is less than 649 because 649 has a 6 in the hundreds. And so we're going to use that kind of strategy for the rest of these here. So I'm just going to draw some squiggles. I'll keep everything lined up. So 571. And then I've got 582. All right, so we're starting with the largest place value. And we're even. All right, so they both have a 5 in the hundreds place, okay? So now we go to the next place value, the tens place. We see a 7, we see an 8. So which one's larger? The 8 is the larger one, just barely. And then it really doesn't matter what happens after that, because once you find one place value that's larger, it doesn't matter about the ones to the right of that. And so my larger one is going to be 582. But take a look at it. It's got the opening going to the 571, the smaller one. The opening always goes to the larger one, so it should be flipped around like that, since that 8 is larger than that 7. So this one is also incorrect. So let's see what C has in store for us. So we're going to line them up here. 730, 806. And this one's going to be pretty easy because once we go to that first place value, we're done. This 8 is larger than the 7. It really doesn't matter that this 3 is larger than the 0, because once you get past that first place value, you don't look at anything else if one is larger than the other. And so my larger one is going to be that 806. And you know what? They do have the opening going to the 806. So if you were to read this left to right, you would say 730 is less than, because the less than is the one that's facing this way. It can be turned into a capital L. 806, that's good. I like C as my answer. Let's just double check to make sure D is incorrect. I've got 709, 692. Once again, we can make our determination just based on the hundreds place. This 700 is bigger because 700 is larger than 600. Doesn't matter that the 9 is bigger than the 0. But they have it pointing to the wrong one. Should be flipped around. So my answer here is C.